done. I don't know. I'm going to put my headphones in, so hopefully you guys can hear me a little better. Let me see if this works. I probably should have put Ask Surf. Got a lot of crazy comments in the last 2 days. Let's see. I don't know. I can't tell if that's working. All right, we'll take these back out. Like, this is my voice. Okay, let me know if there's any sound issues. So what I wanted to do real quick is just briefly talk about what's going on in the markets. A lot of you guys are trying to figure things out. There's a lot of questions. I thought I'd go vertical with this format so we can maybe grab a few different people that don't normally watch the channel, since we're kind of late at night on Sunday. So I'm going to share with you guys my purchases that I've had recently. Okay, we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about how I'm feeling, how you guys are feeling about the market right now. I also want to talk about what is probably going to happen in the next couple of weeks to months, and what it means for you guys. Okay, so first off, let me put a couple definitions out there. Okay, and then put questions in here. We'll try to get to as many questions as we can. So number one, spot price. Okay, this is the price that's based on a couple different things that are going on, but part of it's futures, part of it's what is being done at the COMEX. Okay, so it's kind of a Western price right now. We've been seeing that China in Shanghai has been paying more for silver than the spot prices in the US. And the reason for that is China wants the silver. So if they have a higher spot price in China, and this actually includes the VAT tax too that's out there for most people, they can play arbitrage. You can have people that basically buy contracts on the ETFs, ask for them to be delivered, and they can send it to China. Now, I don't know anybody personally that's doing that, but it is possible. And my guess is someone's doing it. And so we've started to see that get even wider, that spread. We've seen it go from about $2 to $10 to $15 to $25, all the way up to, I think it got up to about $38 on the difference. Now, I don't expect it to continue to get that broad. As it gets too broad, it'll just break the COMEX if it gets too broad. There'll be too many people standing for delivery. Now, the big month for delivery is March. You guys got to watch March. When the March delivery day comes up, we could see the COMEX break, the LBMA break, or we could just see Shanghai go much higher on their price and start siphoning out silver out of the west to the east. If that happens, I fully believe President Trump is going to do some kind of an executive order to stop the flow of silver and gold leaving the country. I have no insight to that, okay? I'm the only person that's been saying that so far on YouTube as far as I know, but I could see it happening. So I can't tell you it's going to happen. I can just see it happening. All right, guys. So, what I want you to know about spot prices is decoupling. So spot price is based on paper. It's not based on what you and I are buying. It's not based on what's going on in the dealers. It's not based on what's happening at eBay or SD Bullion or any of the other big bullion dealers, AppNext, any of that stuff. So what we're seeing right now is we're seeing that price completely decouple. So it's funny. Someone called me out when I mentioned on my video that dropped today that I was going to sell some silver on Thursday. You guys can ask OC Stacker. We've been talking about it for probably 3 weeks now, that I've wanted to take some silver and gold into the smelter and sell it. If I go back, I want to say it's 3 weeks now, I bought gold at $4,790. It's actually $89.99, but we'll call it 90, from Costco. I was there shopping, buying me some eggs and some toilet paper, and I texted OC Stacker and I showed him a picture of the buffaloes for sale. And I basically said that, guess where I'm at? And he's like, where are you at? Which Costco are you at? He's like, there's no way it's the Costco by your house. And I'm like, it is. We never have coins. It's always bars. And we had buffaloes. That's what we're looking for. We've been trying to find buffaloes for a long time. So really, I let him know. He started driving in his car down there. I didn't have the money available that day. That was on a Friday. I came back the next day, and there were only 3 left, so I picked those 3 up. And it wasn't to accumulate more gold. It was to swap out for other coins. I wanted to get rid of some other 24 karat gold coins I have, like Pac-Man and um, what is the other one? Some other foreign coins. I wanted to get some buffaloes. So I wanted to trade them out. Now I got myself into a little bit of a tight situation. So I want to share with you guys my situation. Hopefully you can learn from it a little bit. Um, it just, we got busy with life and I wasn't able to sell those other coins. Now I'm okay, but I like to have more of a cash buffer at all times so I can buy dips when they happen, like Friday and even today. And I also wanted to have a little bit more cash on hand to pay down some of um, my other debts that I've got, to get them down a little bit. I was also looking at selling a bunch of silver bars so that I could move into more mining stocks. I'm only about half of 1% in mining stocks. I wanted to take that up to about 2 to 3%. Anyway, that didn't work out because I could not get down to the smelter fast enough to do all of that and make it work. And so we will wait for another opportunity to do that. And the reality is it doesn't have to be waiting for the price to go way back up. For the metals that I'm swapping into other metals, or I'm selling, say, silver bars going into silver miners, it doesn't matter if the price is at $500 or if it's at $50. You're just swapping for kind. Now on the gold, where I wanted to get a different product and I'm swapping it for another coin, I still got to go sell those three. However, with the price coming down, it's actually it's advantageous for me to sell those on eBay. So I will probably get those listed up tomorrow on eBay. I actually sold gold and silver both on Thursday on eBay. I sold a Toro 10th ounce and I sold a 2 ounce, I don't know, some fancy night helmet. So did I buy any on Friday? I bought silver miners on Friday. Bought a little bit of a gold miner on Friday, and I was close to, but I decided not to add some more silver to one gold. But I might do that come Monday. I'm just waiting to kind of see what happens there a little bit. So yeah, James here says this baby slump is an amazing opportunity to add to your stack. So, okay, the thumbnail, if you guys looked at it before you came onto the show here, it's the train leaving the station. Now, I want you guys to understand this. There's a lot of symbology there. It took me a while to kind of think that one up. So we're not like an old steam train that uses coal and makes this big, huge mess. Okay, I love those trains. Growing up, I had trains all over my bedroom. Okay, I must have loved them as a kid. And I put a bullet train in there. Silver is the bullet train. Okay, now I'm a gold bug. I'm not a silver bug, okay, but I'm a gold bug that sees the opportunity in silver. And why do I care about that? Because if I play it right, I get more gold. Okay, that's what I like at the end of the day. Now, I do see some posts from people that are very religious that say, hey, God's going to destroy gold and he's going to go all for silver. I don't know. But if that happens, hopefully I'm inspired to have more silver than gold. But right now I've got more gold than silver. And as far as dollar value goes, actually, that's not even true anymore. It's more silver now because the silver went way up. I'm probably about 50-50 now that it's kind of come down a bit. But, I like gold. I like silver. I think they're great to have. I also like to have cash on hand so that if you get into a situation like we're in now and the price goes down quite a bit and you need to pay bills, you don't have to rush out and unload silver at a bad price. If you guys are doing what I'm doing in dollar cost averaging, then you shouldn't be freaking out at anything. You should be pretty excited about right now. My timing kind of could have been really optimal. It didn't get there. I was hoping it would. But I did sell a little bit of stuff on Thursday, but I wanted to sell more, quite a bit more. And it's okay. I could probably sell it this week and it's going to do about the same thing. The miners get more clobbered at this time than the physical does. So I think I can still move out of some of my physical for a pretty good price, but we'll see what happens. All right, we've got from Abilene, Vegas, and I'm going to try to, my right eye does not work anymore. I can't even read billboards with it or see anything close up. I'm pretty much got one eye going. So if I screw up your name or I don't read the message totally right, I apologize for that. Shanghai might be done buying since the price is tanking. I think they close things off today. So let's wait and see what they do tomorrow. Shanghai may not want to mess with the market a whole lot right now. All right, so you guys hit the thumbs up. You double tap the screen on this format, the vertical. We do sometimes horizontal and vertical at the same time. It creates a mess. So I think I'm going to do a few that are vertical. We'll do most of them that are horizontal. But on this format, if you double tap the screen, it does the thumbs up, and that'll share this to more people. All right, let's see what else we got in here. So Richard asked about I shall be buying ETFs, miners, and stacking. Yeah, I think everything's pretty good. So here's what I look at, guys. I might get the year wrong. I think it was 2022 though, where we had silver go back down around 17, 18 bucks. And for me, I tend to not be able to buy down at the very bottom of the dips because I purchased a little while before. I do try to dollar cost average, but when I see a good opportunity or I can feel that we're about to go into a momentum move, that's usually when I buy into more. So most of my silver is purchased well below $30. So I need to put it in a spreadsheet and look at it, but I'm somewhere probably between, I'd say, $25, $28 is probably my average purchase price, because I've been buying more as we go higher. So for me, silver can go way lower and I'm still okay in my purchase. For gold, I'm probably under $2,000 or around $2,000 for most of my gold stuff. However, I just bought some that was quite a bit higher. So I'll have to look and see, some of those numbers may be off a little bit, but the reason I bring it up is a lot of mine is quite a bit lower. Now, if you guys have just barely started getting into stacking and you just bought the last few weeks, don't freak out. This is a great opportunity to buy more, and it's going to lower your cost down. And it'll continue to happen as we go up. Now, I saw a big inflection point happening. Inflection point happening when we got around, I want to say it was September, August, September time, where I could see it looks like we're going to be getting close to running up to 50 here. And so I started looking to buy more silver at that time. And, we had a couple people locked in for some amazing deals. In my opinion, we were, 4 or 5% below spot price on silver. And the silver price was right around 38 bucks, 35, 38. And I had to go get my money ready because they wanted cash. So I had to go get it out of the bank, and it takes me a week to do that. The banks don't have cash anymore. If you guys have tried going to the bank and asking for a bunch of cash, you can't get it. It doesn't exist. They have to order it. It takes a week. It comes in from the Federal Reserve. It's wrapped in Federal Reserve notes. Anyway, so by the time I got that, the person didn't want to honor the deal anymore because now silver was sitting up at like 42 bucks. So I've bought some at a little bit at 38, more at 42. I bought some at 45. I bought some at 48. And then I bought a little bit around 50, a little bit around 58. And I think I purchased a few coins. It's in the 60s. And then the most expensive stuff I've done, which was more recently, and it's a small fraction of what I have, is the gold that I bought at 47.90. And then the last silver I bought were the Tim and Yankee rounds I gave away last week, for 95 bucks each. So, I'm not buying a lot when the price gets higher like that, especially when it runs up very fast and high. And the reason for that is I don't need to. I have a great stack already. And so I'm looking for opportunities. When I buy is when someone presents themselves to us and says, hey, I need to sell today. I'm willing to, to sell below spot. When those opportunities come, then I'll take those. So, what I'm going to tell you guys, and the reason I have the train, the reason I'm trying to think what else I put on there. All right, that's going to pause it weird for a minute. So I try to remember what else I put on the thumbnail there, but yeah, or I guess it was in the title. It's not about the price. Okay, you got to get the price out of your head. If you're worried about the price, you're doing this all wrong. Okay, it's more about the opportunity, about the deal, and that's all relative. Price is relative depending on where you're at and what's going on. If we're seeing momentum going down, meaning we're seeing lower lows and lower highs, you're going downwards. So in a case like that, you're better off waiting a little bit to purchase than you are buying right now. If we're having higher highs and higher lows, you're going up, and that's a good time to be buying more. So forget the price for a minute, okay? It's more about accumulating and controlling ounces. Now, you're going to say, Surfer, price and ounces are relative because the lower the price, the more ounces I can get. Yes, I get that. But what I'm saying is stop focusing on if it's at, I'm waiting until it gets to 50, or, I'm not selling until it gets to 500 or whatever. The idea is pretend for a moment that this is hypothetical. We're in the year 2030. You can't buy silver anymore. It's $2,000 an ounce. Most of the coin shops are closed because there's just not as many transactions going on. So a lot of them have kind of consolidated. People have retired. But we're using silver as a side currency to some stable coin. And so now it comes down to how many of those ounces of silver do you have allows you to trade for things and do stuff, okay? So it's not so much about what you paid for it, it's the ability to even be outside of the system in the first place. So that train has left this train station. I couldn't find a bullet train that was on the road that already left the train station, so I had to use the one that's in there. So the train has left the station, but it started slowing down a little bit just this last week because of what happened to the silver price. That had nothing to do with physical, and it had nothing to do with you and me and demand and supply. All of the fundamentals are the same. So you gotta get that out of your head. That's not what happened here. This is all paper manipulation. I saw some reports on X that the moment that it dropped, I think it was JP Morgan Chase, basically pulled out of a whole bunch of shorts. So this is something I'm not hearing anybody talk about, but if the banks are getting rid of a lot of their shorts, they might start buying physical. And if they do, they're going even more net long than they were previously, which means that they want the price to go up higher. I don't have the time to go do the analysis. If someone wants to do it, you'd have to go and try to see if you can get any kind of indication on how many shorts they have versus how much physical they have. And you'd have to start to compare the two to see, are they going more long versus short? They still may have way too many shorts to want the price to go that high right now. They may want it to go even lower. But look for that. If they go more long instead of short, price is going to go a lot higher. All right. James asks, is JP Morgan basically immune from legal problems? They're not immune from legal problems. That's not the right question. They have a lot of influence over people that might bring legal problems on them, and therefore those things probably don't happen. All right, let's see. I'm going to try to answer some questions for you guys here. Let's see what Fuzzy said here. If a silver stacker left to go backpacking through the Andes with no cell service 2 days before the price drop, when he comes back 2 weeks later, he won't even notice anything happened. It's very possible, guys. Look, let me ask you a question. You guys ask yourself this question. If tomorrow when you wake up, the spot price has gone down to $50, would you want to buy? And if the answer is yes, I would buy when it goes down to 50. And everybody on this stream says, yes, I would buy at 50. It's not going to stay at 50 for very long. Now, here's the other thing you got to look at. And we'll get to the super chat in just a second. The other thing to look at is you can't buy silver right now at the price of spot. Okay, not even for a couple bucks above spot. I'm finding that just about every silver eagle I'm seeing is around $100. They haven't really dropped below that. Yet we're seeing, I don't know where the spot price is right at the moment, $79. So I'm not seeing silver eagles at $85, $86. They're up around $100. If you want to go buy a monster box of silver eagles, you're looking at $95 to $100. So it's important for you guys to realize that the dealers have just purchased a bunch of silver above $100. They're not going to take a haircut and get rid of it just because the paper spot price does that. So spot and physical do not work anymore. They've decoupled. Maybe they'll recouple, but they are broken right now and they're not connected at all. So what you got to realize is that we can continue to see some really funky, weird action here where you guys see spot price at 80 and you get all excited about being able to buy silver at 80, yet you can't find silver anywhere for under $100, okay? That may stay like that for weeks until that supply sells out at the bullion dealers, or they start buying a whole bunch of new product way lower. That's how this works. I've seen it for years going on every time we have a move up. This just happened to be a really big move up and then a big move down. All right, we got some super chats. Let's call these guys out right here. So we've got Art Jogo. Thanks for the late night. You are welcome. It's always good to come in here and say hi to you guys. And we've got Brian McQuillian sent 5 Stacking Surfer gift memberships. Well, thank you for that. You guys, if you got one of those, send me an email. We do a call on Friday nights for members only, where you guys can ask questions directly, and we usually have about 20 people in there. So we're having fun with those. So thank you very much for that. And then Fuzzy, $5 super chat. We'll give you a thumbs up for that too. Worrying buying silver at 83 because it will mess up their dollar cost average is burning money, because when silver hits 250, they lost $167 profit per ounce. This is true, guys. Look, if every time silver went up, I worried about buying because I think it's going to go further down, you missed the train. Okay, that's the train leaving the station. You missed the whole thing completely. Okay. If I hadn't started backing up the truck at $38 and buying as much as I could, even though I didn't want to mess up my, say, $25 average price for silver, I would have missed some massive upside that's just happened. Now, I haven't sold a lot of that silver. I'm still holding it. But I still have upside all the way until we go back down to 38. I don't think that's happening. I don't think we're even going down to 50. If we do go down, it might be down to the 200-day moving average, which I think is about 54 right now, maybe 55. I don't think it's going to last there very long. I think there's too many people that have woken up to silver now that they're going to buy that if the physical gets down there. So forget spot price, guys. If spot price goes down to 50, like on Monday or Tuesday, you're not going to be buying at 50. And if you think you're going to, it's just going to be someone that's unloading silver that doesn't know what they're doing. You might be able to get a deal that way, but you're not going to go to a bullion dealer and find silver at 50 on Monday if the spot price is 50. But as soon as we get to a point where people want to buy more silver, so let's say it's at 100 now with Eagles, if we drop down to 90, 80, what's the price that all of a sudden everybody jumps on it and tries to buy it up? We're going to have supply crunches. We're going to have issues, because the moment the price goes down and everybody starts to pile in to buy those coins, supply is going to be gone, and the spot price could still be down there. You got to understand it's like 2 totally different things. All right, I'm going to try to get caught up with you guys here. Yeah, you still can't get it under $100. So I had a friend today in a chat just a few minutes ago. He's like asking me and my other friend here, OC Stack, if we had any monster boxes to sell. And I'm like, if I have anything for sale, it's going to be $100 an ounce or higher for Silver Eagles. I'm not selling them for under that. And, they want to get it for less. You can hedge things. Oh, Kenshi knew silver sucked. Well, it doesn't suck as bad as Bitcoin, but I'm sorry about that. Here's the thing I'll tell you guys about the whole markets right now is, when there's this announcement of a new Fed chair going in, it doesn't even mean that's going to be the person that's picked. Okay, they still have to go through that approval process, so it could be a different person. And I guarantee you, President Trump isn't picking someone that's not going to lower rates. We have somewhere between $6 and $11 trillion that has to be refinanced this year in debt, and we're already $1 trillion servicing the debt. We cannot afford to be servicing the debt at this without raising taxes significantly higher, or issuing more money. We have to print more money, causing a massive amount of inflation. So it's a huge problem. They're going to lower rates. When they go to do that, everything's going to be going up. Okay, including things you buy every day. But even something like Bitcoin that is not loved right now and is being dumped by everybody. All my friends that are Bitcoin people are dumping their Bitcoin. They've been in it for years. They're buying silver now, Kenshi, and they're buying more of it. But even Bitcoin and other pretty decent assets will go up too, because it'll find the liquidity will find a place to go. Yeah, that's funny. Okay. Okay, we've got C. Phillips. I went to my LCS to sell a little silver on Thursday, but the line was too long, so I walked out. Oops. We all feel that a little bit. So, here's the thing. A lot of stores are not buying right now. You got to look at the coin. You got to look at the coin shops. Okay. Average coin shop is not a real sophisticated business. Um, you know, they they're localized. They don't sell a lot outside of probably where they run. A lot of them are stuck with a lot of collectibles that they've had over the years because collectibles were a hotter market and it's where they could make their money. Bullion has like a 2% margin, which is like that's even crappier than owning a grocery store. I think grocery stores are at like 3 to 5%. So a 2% margin is horrible. And it's hard to make much money from that and keep a business going. So you get into collectibles, then you have more like a 20 to 50% margin on those products. You can make a lot more money. So you got a lot of coin shops that are just flush with a bunch of collectibles. No one wants to pay the high premium for them. And so they're just sitting there. And as far as the bullion goes, a lot of the stores are selling out of the bullion. They just don't have it. Some of them got really flush with constitutional or junk silver, but the premiums have fallen out of the bottom on that. We're finding constitutional junk silver for $15 below melt. So when you start seeing things like that, it gets really hard. You got to buy it way below that as a dealer to be able to sell it. And I think some people are buying it, but not a lot, and so they can't refine it. It's causing those kind of problems too. I still think 2026 is gonna be an amazing year. I still think we're gonna see at least $180 on silver and at least $6,000 on gold. It's possible to have an $8,000 gold, and it's possible to have a $200 to $300 silver. It just depends on what happens. This year, you need to watch things very closely. You need to be watching markets on Sundays as it opens up. You need to be paying attention to Monday when the U.S. market opens. You got to be paying attention to the macro situation out there and the sentiment that's going on. So far, the only people I've seen that are negative on silver are the crypto people that know that if more money goes into silver, that their cryptocurrencies aren't going to do well. So a lot of those guys are freaking out. And then you've got the stock market people that are freaking out because they see the capital rotation happening. Where people lose money, that's where they freak out. All right, so we've got M. Petty here. I'm going to lose his comment. Silver could reach $500 due to 3 factors. One is it's already gone. Shoot. All right, I'm going to have to scroll down, guys. This kills it for me after a while. Yes, silver was used to sell out Jesus. And it would be ironic if he used it to kill the bankers. But I think he might. So watch out for that. All right. That's funny. You don't support the miners by owning their stock. That doesn't make them any money, Kenshi. You don't understand the stock market works if that's the case. The only time a company makes any money is when they issue new shares. And then they put those on the market, and hopefully they issued them at $20. And hopefully when the market opens up, they're going for $35. They make the $15 spread. That's how the company makes money. Okay. Company doesn't care if the stock price goes up or down. The company doesn't care. The owners of the company may care a little bit because they may be trying to sell some of it, or they may be trying to attract people by giving them shares and stuff. But that doesn't matter. You're not supporting the miners by owning the stock. That's not how that works. And the reality is the mining stocks are going to continue to be lower than the physical metals. Until the point that you start to see more of Wall Street jump into it, okay? Because us stackers don't buy a lot of mining stocks. I mean, it's a small portion of our portfolios, and most people don't even touch it. So, where those are really going to start to run up is when Wall Street realizes, okay, silver's really jumped. And this is when you get into $150, $200 silver. They're going to notice that, and they're going to start to pile into the mining stocks. And those numbers may not be the exact numbers, but when they do, you're going to start to see it jump up quite a bit. All right, let's see what else we got here. You guys do not get into paper, do not get into miners until you have plenty of, physical silver for what you need, okay? But when you get to the point where you have now blown away your goals for physical, okay, and I understand everybody's in different. Some of you guys are struggling to even get your first ounce. Others are struggling to get their first 100 ounces. Some are struggling to get their first 1,000 ounces. But once you get a lot of ounces, you start to run out of places to put it. It starts to get super expensive to vault it. And so a lot of people decide, hey, I'm going to do this a different way. So a less expensive way to vault your silver is to have money in Kinesis, One Gold, or in Glint. And you can still spend it. You can still, play the ratio. There's a lot of things you can do with that. Now, you don't hold it. You technically don't own it, right? A lot of people say. But when you get to a certain point, it makes a difference. I know people that have millions and millions of dollars of physical metals. They don't store that at their house, okay? They're not dumb. They also start to look at different ways to put it out. Do they put it into art? Do they do it into the vaulting facilities? Do they have it spread all over the world in different places? So, each person's going to be a little different based on, what their needs are. Okay, so this is Philip Martinez. He says, I stack when I got the funds, and best case scenario is given to my boys that love gold and silver like I do. We use it sometimes if something bad happens. Yeah, I totally agree with that. Ooh, look at that. We got a really cool disco ball from 949. Thank you. We'll like that. I don't know what to do with a laughing disco ball, but that's pretty cool. And then 949 also gifted another 10 memberships, guys. So if you get one of those memberships, email me, stackingsurfer@gmail.com, and let me know that you're a member. Show me that you're a member. It should show that you're a member on the screen. You can take a quick screenshot. That way I have your YouTube handle and we can add you to the calls that are going on. They're really good calls. People have been having a lot of fun with them. The big problem is trying to keep it to an hour. It seems like it wants to go for 2 or 3 hours. Yeah, Art Jogo. Everyone I know believe there's going to be a pullback at some time. The problem is when's that going to happen? I started hearing people freaking out about a pullback as soon as we got to $70. Okay, they were freaking out about a pullback, and then we got to 80. Okay, that's got to come soon. We get to 90. I started hearing less talk about it, but everybody still had it on their mind. And it was, is it going to go all the way up to 117, 120? Now, Kevin Wadsworth from Bad Charts. Bad Star Charts. I don't know. I have to look it up again. But Kevin, we've had him on many times. I'm just forgetting the name because it's getting late at night. I think he called around 117 is where he said it would probably come back down, and he's looking for it to come back down to about the 200-day moving average. Now, if it doesn't stay there for let's say a month or more, I don't think you're going to see the price of physical get down there. If it stays down there for 6 months, then I think you're going to see the physical price of silver get down there. But I don't think there's enough supply around right now for the consumer to buy that we're going to be able to just walk in the store and buy it at that price. I think you're going to have to order it and wait for it to come in. All right, let's see. Surfer, where do you sell our metals if these coin shops? Okay, so let's do this. I'm going to scroll down to the bottom. I'm going to miss a bunch of your questions, but they keep disappearing on me anyway. All right, so here's the deal. If your local coin shop will not take your silver, your next move is to contact some of the online bullion dealers, okay? So you've got Miles Franklin, AppMex, SD Bullion, and another dozen companies that you can go to. Those are the main ones I use and buy from. If you can't sell locally, contact them. Oftentimes they will be buying. I haven't heard that any of them are not buying. They'll send you a mailing list, a mailing label. You send it off to them. They tell you how to pack it. And, you get your money as soon as they check it in and they verify everything. So that's another way you can sell it. Now, what I will tell you is there's always a buyer, no matter what. I will buy your silver any day for $1, okay? I'll buy all your silver for $1 an ounce if you need the money, okay? So that's on the table, okay? I've got lots of people that'll buy it for $1. So you'll always be able to sell your silver. The question is, will you be able to get the price you want for it? So if you're trying to sell silver, which a lot of stackers do not plan on selling their silver, they plan on dying and passing it on to their family. But if you have some silver that you need to liquidate at some point and you're planning on doing that, I also recommend doing the same thing you do when you dollar cost average, dollar cost sell it. So you start selling it a little bit every time. So if you need to sell a bunch of silver by June 1st, start now and start selling it. And hopefully the price goes up higher so you can get more money for it the closer you get. It's also good to have different kinds of product. If all you have is constitutional, you've probably had a harder time selling it. But selling bars hasn't been as hard. Those have been easier. So if you've got bars and constitutional and eagles and rounds and maybe some foreign coins, you have more diversity to make it easier to unload things. You can always sell it at $1. I'm just telling you guys. So here's the deal. If you can only buy eagles for $100 right now and you go to your coin shop and you want to sell them and they're like, well, I'm only going to buy them at $5 below spot, I would just pull up and show them what they're selling for online at other places, find out what he's selling them for or she's selling them for, and I would just call them on it and say, bull crap, the spot price isn't right. They should be buying it from you higher than spot price. Okay, if they're going below it, I would hold and wait for that. It just seems like it's kind of a messed up, broken system for it. All right, let's see if I got any other questions from you guys. I'm a big fan of 24 karat gold. That's my favorite because that's actually the only gold that's out there. When you get to 22 karat gold, like Eagles or Krugerrands, those are not gold. That's an alloy. It's still considered a gold coin. However, I'll tell you this, going to the smelter, this was interesting. They weigh it and they look at the metal content. So at a smelter, they may actually give you more money for a silver eagle than they would a silver buffalo. That's kind of bass backwards. Why do they do that? It's because there's silver in there and there's copper in there. So there's some other metals that are in there that they can still use. So I don't know. That's kind of the way at least one of the smelters does it. You know, you're going to find a buyer at any time, guys. You're just going to have to figure out what you're willing to sell it for. So here's the deal. If I think my silver is worth $500 and that's the lowest price I'm willing to sell at, then I just wait until $500. And if everybody else does the same thing, physical silver will end up selling for $500. It doesn't mean the spot price has to go up to that either. Okay, let me see what other questions you guys have for me. I got 14% battery life on my phone, so we'll go until the phone kind of dies here. Fuzzy will pay $7 an ounce, so there you go. Someone's already beating me. All right, Dean, what do you think of gold bars, Best Buy? Cheap and better to store, and can you buy 1 gram where coins mostly are 3 grams? Okay, so here's my take on gold. Okay, I got a lot of friends that are Indian since I work in high tech. They do not save in US dollars, they save in bars and they buy it by the gram. Okay, that's the standard they know. So I have great conversations with all my Indian friends about gold and silver. And there's nothing I need to educate them on. If anything, I learn from them every time. It's part of their culture. It's been going on for a long time. Sorry, my mustache is getting really itchy. I got to put some moisturizer on my face, I guess. Anyway, they buy it all the time, and that's what they do. That's what they use it for. Now, when I talk to the people in India, I mentioned to them about collectible gold or premium gold, like say the Liberty series that comes out of the US Mint, or even paying more for a gold buffalo than you would for a gold bar. They think it's stupid. They don't understand why anybody would want to own a gold coin that's old, like 100 years old. Why would you want that? It's not part of their culture. They don't do that. I don't know about China, but that's India. And I thought it was interesting when they get married, if you have daughters, you as a father would donate jewelry to the daughter that she would wear at a wedding. And then that is her money that you pass to her. It's her dowry. She keeps the jewelry. It's very ornate. And when she has a daughter, they don't give the same jewelry to them. They melt that down and they use that and they give it. And so everything's like a brand new. It has to be brand new jewelry for you to wear to the wedding ceremony, which makes a lot more sense. India is always buying a ton of silver and a ton of gold at the end of each year to get ready for the spring when they do a lot of their weddings. And so, you got to look at cultures, but they go for the bar because the bar is the cheapest. So now my preference is the gold buffaloes, but I don't like to buy gold buffaloes above spot price. I like to buy them below spot price. And if you buy them from Costco, you usually can if you time it right. Um, it's harder to find buffaloes at spot price in other places, but that's what I try to do. Why do I do that? Because in the US, it's easier to sell a gold buffalo than it is to sell a gold bar, and you tend to still get more money for it. But it's how you buy it. If you're paying full retail for a gold buffalo and you're paying 150 to 300 bucks more than you would for a silver or a gold bar, I think you need to rethink the strategy a little bit and wait to buy those gold buffaloes. Maybe look at the bars, but I don't think you can go wrong with the gold bars either. They're usually in an essay though, so it takes up a little bit more space than just a coin in the tube. But a lot of people do go for that. Goldbacks, my opinion on goldbacks. I like goldbacks, okay, but I don't own a lot of them. I've got a stack of them. I think they're good for putting into go bags, along with some junk silver, as well as cash in case things get really heated and you got to get out of Dodge. I like to put those things in my car as well. Could my car get broken into and my go bags ripped out? It could, but I like to have those because I live in California, and if I happen to be in San Diego or in LA, which is a pretty good distance from my house, because I'm kind of in between those two, and we have a massive earthquake, it could be days, if not a week or longer, before I get home. And so I like to have a go bag with 3 days worth of supplies, food, clothes, all that kind of stuff. It's good to have some extra money with you too. The debit cards may not be working, or people may not want that. They may just want the money right up front. So I see Goldbacks good for that. Goldbacks are great for tipping, and they're good for using at stores that accept them. As far as stacking Goldbacks, it's 100% premium. It's a stupid way to stack because it's very costly. With that said, if you want to collect them, it's a fun thing to collect. They've got some great art on them, and that can be really fun too. So, I just kind of do that one in moderation. Okay, we got another one from, all right, I got to scroll back down here. Let's see. Okay, this is from Brian. It's not frowned upon, but if you have a bunch of people in line at an LCS and there are buyers and sellers, if you want to sell and there are buyers walking out saying the LCS. Okay, I don't know exactly what you're saying there, but I'll give you a situation. I was at Tim's store a couple of years ago with Yankee there, and Yankee was filming at the front. I was in the back, and I heard these two guys conversing, and one was a buyer, one was a seller. They ended up just sneaking out the back, and they went and did a side deal. Now, that's not proper etiquette. Is Tim going to ban those people from coming in the store? Probably not. He probably won't remember who they are. It's not proper etiquette, but those things do happen sometimes. What I recommend is when you go into a store, it's a business for everybody. It's kind of like, do you want people taking advantage of your business? Do you want people, treating you well? But every once in a while, you're going to run into that where there's going to be, people that match make and they take off, which is okay. It's not illegal. It's maybe, it's unethical if you're going into the line and you're asking people if they're selling when you're a buyer, and you're inside the store. I would say that's kind of unethical, and it could get you barred from coming into that store again. There's nothing illegal with it, but you're better off just having conversations with people. And if the line's too long and there's two of you guys that connect on stuff, it is what it is. So Rob purchased most of his silver before 2001. I think that's awesome. Before 2001, I was in college. I wasn't worried about silver. I was trying to pay my bills. But I think that's great. So, you got to look at what you got into, okay, and how many ounces. Now, I'm turning 50 this year, so I still have a long time to go. Some of you are much older than I am, and you may not have as much time to accumulate more. And so it's all relative, right? It's all relative to each other. I'll have more time for it to appreciate up. And and it's not about price again. It's about how many ounces you can get your hands on. So, I've seen a lot of these little memes on X where they talk about the different levels of silver ownership. And they usually, start off at like 1 ounce, 10 ounces, 50 ounces, 100 ounces, it goes to 1,000 ounces, 5,000 ounces. And then I think it usually stops at 8,000 ounces, goes to 10. We did a survey on my live stream a week or two ago, I think 2 weeks ago, and we asked, how much silver do you have? And there were like at least 4 or 5% of the people on there that had over 40,000 ounces of silver. So some of you guys have a ton of silver. So if you have 40,000 ounces of silver, who cares what you paid for it? You got 40,000 ounces of silver you control. So, to compare whether you have 40,000 ounces and someone has 500 ounces, there's a huge difference there. But price isn't really the biggest thing. Now, I know a lot of us get off on the price thing because we feel really good for buying it at lower prices and everything. But, what's more important is, do you have enough ounces to cover what you're going to need it for, and for your insurance and everything else? Chances are you probably have too much silver or too much gold. Or if you're all silver and you don't have any gold, I think you're making a big mistake. And if you're all gold and don't have any silver, I think you're making a big mistake. If you've got gold and silver and you don't have a year's supply of food and a couple months worth of water and a bunch of ammunition, and you don't have other things to barter with, I think you're making a big mistake. You go sell some of your gold and silver and go buy that stuff. If you don't have 3 months worth of cash for expenses, I think you're making a big mistake. What happens if you get into a SHTF situation? You're not using gold and silver, guys. I'm telling you, that's not going to happen. Not for a while. You're going to be using cash. You're going to be bartering with goods and services. The gold and silver will come in handy once you can start to replenish the goods. Okay. You can't do anything with gold and silver. It's just money. But if someone has a bunch of deodorant, or they have shampoo, or they have soap, or they have food to trade with, that will be more valuable. So you got to think through the situation. All right, let's see. Kenshi is right about this. Pure gold is not meant to circulate, and it doesn't circulate. It usually sits in vaults. And it is funny, guys, to think about it, though. Like with gold specifically, we don't use it for a whole lot of stuff. It just, you dig it out of the ground, you clean it up, you put it into a form, and you stick it in the vault. It's what happens, and there's your wealth. So it's a really interesting play, and the way it's been used for so many years, nearly 6,000 years. And then you've got silver that does get used in a lot of ways, made into silverware, into cups, into plates. It's used in industry. It's used for a lot of jewelry. And so you do get a lot of that goes on with the silver. And the funny thing too is silver tarnishes. So, you run into those issues too. Let's see. Yeah, Washington State's a mess. California's a mess when it comes to metals. Hopefully we can fix some of this at some point. We got 460, 440 people in here. Double tap the screen. That does a thumbs up. That'll get more people watching. We're trying this tonight just to get more people in here that usually don't have it. Now, if you guys have not subscribed to the channel, I highly recommend it for a couple reasons, okay? One, if you don't subscribe, I'll find another subscriber, so it's not the end of the world for me. But for you, if you're listening and you have not subscribed, here's why you want to subscribe. I try to get 1 to 2 interviews a week. I know there's other channels that get a lot more interviews on, but I'm one person doing this whole flipping thing by myself. And I work full-time as a director in a high-tech company. So I only have so much time. And I'm a dad and a husband still. And I gotta start focusing a little bit more on that, because the last 2 months have been a wild ride. I haven't been with the family a lot. But you got to take advantage of momentum too, okay? So, here's what I'm going to tell you. We do interviews. We try to get the best people on here. Some of them are big known names. Some of them are not big known names. But I try to get the best people on here that are going to give you information. If you watch the channel, if you subscribe and you do the bell icon, you'll get notifications. That's why Kenshi comes into all these videos. I know he's a closet silver stacker. However, I don't think he has as much silver as I thought he did because he hasn't showed up until silver crashed. When it was going really super high and Bitcoin wasn't doing as well, I think he wasn't showing up. but but we love you, Kenshi. One of these days, maybe you can win some silver. Um, Subscribing to the channel gets you a couple things. So one, we have great interviews with people. You get my commentary and my thoughts, and I think it's unique. A lot of the channels that have interviews, you've got someone that has some gold and silver that's making the interviews. They're a lot of times not really part of the stacking community, and so they ask questions differently than what I do. I try to ask them from the standpoint as someone that's heavily invested in physical gold and silver, because I want to know, did I make the right decision? Where's the price going? What's the market doing? How much of a risk do I have in it? And all of those things. Okay. Now, I still have other investments. So, gold and silver makes up 20% of my net worth. And I probably won't go much higher than that. But, I have other assets, but I have enough to do what I need to do with it. Now, some of you guys will just go crazy and go all in silver, and you'll put a ton of money in there, and you're going to make a ton of money. And so you got to think through, what are you going to do with that? Are you going to sell it or just hold on to it? Because if you haven't sold it, you didn't make it. But you still have the value. Okay, it's a little different when it's precious metals. Notorious phishing. Smelters are a very closely held secret. Retail does not have access to them. You're not going to be able to walk into a smelter. They won't talk to you. They'll kick you right out. So the best thing to do is send me an email or send OC Stacker an email, and we work through our smelters. There's a little bit of a fee doing that because we've got to drive in there and go packing with all of our guns, because it's not in a good part of town to go to. But we do offer like some white glove service for that. But smelters are a dime a dozen. They're hard to find. They're very closely guarded secrets for people, because that's how they make money. If I start giving things away like that when we're not a big official coin store, we can get shut down from being able to have access to. But there are some available out there. You can make relationships with them and find them. But if you're not selling to them like on a weekly basis or every other weekly basis with like a lot of metals, they're not going to work with you. It's just not worth their time. But we do have access to them, and we can usually help everybody sell the metals they want to. We haven't had anybody be turned down yet from selling. So, extreme pacifist. I love your comment about Jesus Christ, being a Christian follower, reading the Bible. And, what I'll tell you guys with that is, in my life, I do my best to basically follow what I feel God wants me to do. And that's one of the reasons I've started the channel. And it's what keeps me going with this too, is, I'm hoping this is the year I actually make some money from it. I have put in tens of thousands of dollars into this channel as an investment. And you might look at a channel, you might see all the people in here and go, oh my gosh, this guy's making a ton of money. I haven't made any money, man. It's all gone into, I've spent a lot of money on this channel. I give away a lot of silver. I don't get that for free. I pay for that. It comes out of my stack. I went and bought those Yankee Tim rounds for $95 each, and I'm putting those out there. Now, I do get some write-offs from doing that, but I'm still in the hole a bunch of money. I'm hoping this will be the year where we'll dig ourselves out of the hole. It can start to be profitable. And the more profitable it is, the more I can do for you guys. I can hire people to help me get more people scheduled to come in. We can do things like, better content where we have more graphics, and maybe I get an editor to help with some of that stuff. I'm hoping to be able to start coming out to different coin shows. I'd love to go out to the Fun Show out in Florida, and a couple other coin shows. That takes money to fly out there and do those, and taking vacation time off and all that stuff. So for me, this is my giving back to the community. It's my community service. If it can turn into a full-time job, that'd be awesome. I hope it does. And that's why we do this thing. Yeah, if I could sell my house and go buy a bunch of gold and silver and do this full time, I would. but I've got a family, and I've got family members that want to stay here in California. And I know a lot of you guys have a hard time with California, but you also don't know where we live. I live in one of the most conservative cities in the entire country. Very patriotic city. It's probably more conservative than your city, and it's probably more patriotic than your city that you guys live in. And it's in California. And you might think that's crazy. I mean, uh, but it's true. We burned masks, and when they brought the George Floyd parade through our city, we had snipers on the roof to shoot and kill anybody that tried to vandalize any of our businesses. We had a lot of guys out with guns. We didn't put up with crap. We didn't follow most of the rules when it came to all the shutdown crap. A lot of the businesses were still going, and they just moved restaurant, seating to outside and all that kind of stuff. Just about everybody's got a surfboard in their garage, and or 10, and everybody surfs, from little kids to 80, 90-year-old people. Maybe not 90, that's getting up there, but 80-year-old people. I've gone surfing with them, and I've had them come and kick my butt. Some of these guys are really good. I've been surfing for about 8 years now, maybe 7 or 8 years. And a lot of these guys grew up surfing, and they grew up in this surf town, and so they're really good. But I try to go with what the spirit tells me, and right now it's to stay here, which you might say is crazy. I think it's crazy too. I want more silver and gold, but that's not always in the plan. All right, from Fuzzy, if you had a choice of 50 1-ounce silver coins or one gold 1-ounce coin, what would I do? Well, I would sell my gold for silver, okay? And I have done some of that. Once we get below 50, then I don't do that anymore. I don't play the ratio. So to me, 50 is kind of that last point I play the ratio. Most of my gold to silver plays were done above 80 and 90. Most of my silver to gold plays will be done below 40. Most of them will probably be done below 30. But I don't know how far down we're going to go, so we'll be looking at some of that. Now, as far as right now at 50, I think you can actually go either way. You can go silver, you can go gold. But you got to remember that the historical number for silver is 12 to 1, okay? Or depending on the area you look at, it's 8 to 1. So any silver selling to gold before you get down to those numbers is kind of crazy. However, if you're heavy silver, okay, if you're really heavy in silver and you want some gold, you can start doing that anytime. I think when you're below 50 is a good time to start looking at doing that. If you're heavy gold and you don't have much silver, I think you can still go at 50 and be swapping for it. It's all relative. So that'd be my answer to that. I like to have 1 ounce of gold for every $50,000 in net worth I have. It's just a rule of thumb, because I think if they go to revalue the gold and burn off the debt, they're going to be somewhere close to 50,000. And so if my other assets don't go up as much, but my gold does, and they revalue it, that's why I do the 50,000 to 1. Silver, on the other hand, I want to have 100 face of junk for each family member. And I've kind of upped that up. I think if you can go for, $200 to $500 face per family member, then you've got like almost a decade worth of silver to buy stuff. Think of a dime, feeding you for a day. So you're going to need about 7 dimes a week to buy groceries. So that's kind of a thing. Yeah, you don't want to take money out of the store owner's pockets. It's not the best thing to do. Not very ethical. Yeah, so look, at the end of the day, guys, silver and gold's going higher. I think Bitcoin's going higher too. I think Bitcoin probably is going to get a lot higher at some point. I think the stock market's going to have a harder time for the next decade. I think gold and silver are going a lot higher. I think we're going to be in a commodity super cycle, but I also think we're going to be more risk off. And so I don't think Bitcoin's going to 1 million and gold and silver are going down and that they're relics. That I do not think is happening. As long as you have central banks that are buying and holding gold, gold's going to continue to go up, and as gold continues to go up, so is silver. But the future of technology, guys, is in silver. Everything's going to be using it. Just imagine Tesla putting a robot in every home, okay? There's going to be silver in those robots. That's a lot of silver right there alone. I don't even think we have enough silver to do that. So you might have to get the copper version instead of the silver version. Or maybe if you've got money, you go for the bigger version. So we got a new member. We've got Dennis Wilson. Congratulations and welcome. Yeah, so this crash could last 6 months, guys. I don't think it's going to last longer than that. It could also last a week or two and go right back up. I don't know, Dean, if China wants to be the reserve currency, but it makes sense. So I would assume they want to do that. However, I think it's a crappy thing to do. I wouldn't want to do it. I don't think it's great for the country. The moment that we became the reserve currency, we basically lost our ability to export goods, because all we could afford to do was export our currency so that people would continue to use it worldwide, right? We had to make sure our currency allowed for that. And so we got rid of all the manufacturing, and now we're potentially going to war with countries that we buy stuff from, right? I mean, what do we make in this country? It's all made overseas and brought here. So that becomes very problematic. And then even if we try to make stuff here, everybody wants $100,000 or more. And it becomes a problem. I mean, where I live, my county, I want to say 100,000. If you make less than 100 grand, you're poverty level. Okay. You can't even live here. You've got to be making, 250 to 300,000 a year to just survive in this county. If you've got a family and you're supporting the family, you got to make a lot of money. 100,000 is poverty level. You're on welfare. That's kind of crazy. Yeah, liquor, cigarette lighters, bags of rice, all that stuff is really good. Deodorant, if people stink, that could help. Yeah, Kenshi makes a good point here. I'll put it out there. Technically, he is right that a lot of people are misusing the term of barter, but it's kind of what we use in the industry. So if I'm trading you, I've got a thing of toilet paper here. If I'm trading you this toilet paper for a ballpoint pen, okay, that's technically a barter, okay? But you're also technically bartering with gold and silver coins for goods and services if the gold and silver is not being considered money at the time. However, technically it's always money, so therefore it just becomes a currency and a money at the same time. It's semantics, but yeah, I get the point. And someone in here's got 50 ounces of silver. I think it's awesome. The key is not to kill yourself over this. Yeah, you guys come see us at the coin booth, coin show, Long Beach Coin Show 535, which will be good. I think I'm way behind. Let me try to fast forward a little bit. All right, Dennis Wilson, thank you for the super chat. I own a Paragon mini log surfboard, 8 feet, live from Wyoming. Thanks, dude, for the welcome. We have some river surfers here on the Snake River. That's pretty cool. So my favorite board is a 9.5 foot long board. That's what I do now. I have health issues, so to get into the real high surf is hard for me because I just don't have the strength. Autoimmune stuff, Lyme disease, it's pretty much wiped out all of the power cells in my body to the point where I'm like an iPhone 15 or whatever, a really old iPhone that just doesn't power up as much as you want it to. And I find that 9.5 foot board works really well for me. One of these days, maybe we'll get a surf video out for you guys. You got to pay someone to go film all that stuff. And I don't know, we'll see what happens. I am hoping to get out here pretty soon though. The water's been pretty warm and it's been a good year. Yeah, 100,000 is poverty in Southern California, guys. That's how messed up the market is here, okay? So that's why you can have someone sell a home here that is like from the 60s. Not down where I'm at, but go to the Bay Area, go to San Jose, sell a home for that was made in the 1960s. It's probably a $5 to $10 million home. And you sell that and you move to some other part of the country and you're filthy rich, but up there you were barely surviving. California's kind of crazy with that. Oh, okay, Dean. I'll let me work on it this week. I filmed the video 3 years ago to show you guys how you can make the rice from Costco. So I'll just tell you guys briefly here, but I'll try to get that video out this week. Um, you can go buy a 25-pound bag of rice from Costco. Okay, Sam's Club probably does it too. You go onto Amazon and you order Mylar bags. Okay, and you get food grade Mylar bags. I like to get they have black ones or silver ones. It doesn't really matter either one of those, but I usually get the black ones. And they come with oxygen absorbers in them. Okay, now it's very important that you don't put oxygen absorbers into sugar or salt. It will turn it into a rock. Okay, but it's good for oatmeal, for rice, for beans. And so what I do is I go and buy in bulk from not Augustin Farms. Shoot. It's the largest family-owned farm in the country, and they deliver stuff out here too. I'm forgetting the name of them. I'll have to look them up. But I'll buy like 50-pound bags from them. I'll buy the 25-pound bags from Costco, and you basically get these Mylar bags that are 5 pounds. You fill them up. You put a couple oxygen absorbers into them. You close it at the top. You use a flat iron going across the top of it. You seal it. And now you have food that's going to last you 30 years. Put a label on it, store it away somewhere. So I did a lot of those. We did do a live stream on that. The other thing I want to do is I want to open up my my go bags and show you guys what I have in my go bags. And some of them need to be updated right now too. And we're starting to see a big cluster of earthquakes again. So we do run a higher risk of having a big major earthquake here soon. So I need to get those updated. I'll try to do some of that. I might end up just doing it as a live stream too. It just takes a lot of time to put some of it together, but I'll try to put the video together. I didn't really get the good ending or beginning to it, and so I've just never really put it out. Plus, it's not what the channel's about, so it's not going to be one that gets a lot of views. So I've procrastinated, but I'll work on getting that out this week so you guys have it. I've also got one on water storage and putting, these big tanks in your garage of water storage, because that's pretty key too. Especially if you live in a place like where I do, where there's no rivers, streams, or lakes. We just have an ocean that's got Fukushima radiation all over it. All right, I'm going to close this down here, guys. It's been fun. We're getting close to 10 o'clock at night in California here, and my phone's got 3% battery. It's going to die. If you guys have gauze and you've won them, I'm in the process of getting all that put together. I know I say that, but we've been doing that today, and I'll be doing a little bit more of it tomorrow. So hopefully we'll get them out to you guys soon. Live stream again on Friday, and then we'll do a member chat on Friday. Just due to my schedules, I'm probably going to have to start switching that up, where we might only do the member call once a month. But we are going to keep those things going. People are having fun. If you want one-on-one mentoring, there's an option on YouTube to sign up for that. You just need to email me once you do it, so I know who you are. YouTube does not tell me who you guys are. And then the other thing from there is, be looking out for some other interviews. I've got one I'm filming in the morning. And it was about the silver going down, which is kind of funny because we set that up a week ago. So, I was expecting it to start to correct once we get up close to about 110. I just didn't know how deep it was going to be or how fast it would come on. It came on pretty fast, and it was a lot deeper than I expected. So we're going to see what happens, guys. But my guess is it's not going to be a super long time period we have to wait right now. And I think banks are trying to get out of some of their short positions because they can see the momentum that's going on. So, stay tuned, subscribe, double tap, hit the bell icon, all that kind of stuff. And we'll keep getting good information out to you guys. All right, until next time, peace out. Have a great evening.